In the ancient lands of China, during a time of constant warfare and political strife, there arose a man whose name would resonate through the centuries, a man whose thoughts would shape the very foundations of military strategy and leadership. His name was Sun Tzu, the master strategist, the author of The Art of War, and the man whose wisdom transcended time and geography. Born during the spring and autumn period, Sun Tzu's early life remains a mystery to many, shrouded in legend and myth. Some believe he was born into a family of military commanders, while others suggest he was a humble scholar who rose to prominence through his unparalleled intellect. What is certain, however, is that Sun Tzu possessed a deep understanding of war, human nature, and the strategies that governed the rise and fall of empires. His insights were born from both theory and practice. He wasn't just a philosopher. He was a general who had led countless successful campaigns. Sun Tzu's story begins in the state of Qi, one of the powerful kingdoms of ancient China. It is said that Sun Tzu was summoned by the king of Wu, King Helu, to demonstrate his theories on warfare. The king, intrigued by Sun Tzu's reputation, ordered a test. He commanded Sun Tzu to train the king's concubines as soldiers. The task was daunting, for these women were not warriors. They were part of the king's harem, living a life of luxury and pleasure. But Sun Tzu saw this as the ultimate challenge. With calm determination, he took charge, instructing the women in the art of military discipline. To the king's amusement, the concubines laughed at first, but Sun Tzu's relentless leadership quickly transformed them into an effective fighting force. When the time came for them to march and perform drills, the women fell in line, showing discipline and precision. However, when they failed to follow a command, Sun Tzu had them executed, an act that shocked the king. The king, though shaken by the severity of the punishment, understood Sun Tzu's philosophy. Leadership was not about leniency, but about the unwavering enforcement of rules, respect, and discipline. After this dramatic display of authority, Sun Tzu's reputation was sealed, and he became a general in the King of Wu's army. Under his command, the Wu forces became one of the most formidable military powers in China. Sun Tzu's military strategies were revolutionary. He believed that war was not a mere clash of armies, but a delicate game of strategy and psychology. His most famous work, The Art of War, was not just a manual on tactics, but a deep exploration of the principles of leadership, decision-making, and understanding the human element in battle. Sun Tzu understood that the best victory was one that came without a battle, that the highest form of warfare was to outthink the enemy, to deceive them, and to control the environment in which the conflict played out. One of the most profound ideas in the art of war is the concept of knowing your enemy and yourself. Sun Tzu believed that if you understood both, you could win any battle. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles, he famously said. This insight reshaped how military leaders approached warfare, placing more emphasis on intelligence, strategy, and diplomacy rather than sheer force. Sun Tzu's campaigns were legendary, and his strategies are still studied in military academies around the world. One of the most notable victories was the Battle of Boju, where the Wu forces, despite being outnumbered, defeated the much larger forces of the Chu kingdom. Sun Tzu's brilliance was evident in his use of deception, creating confusion among the enemy and exploiting weaknesses at just the right moment. But Sun Tzu's genius went beyond the battlefield. He understood that war was not an isolated event. It was part of a broader political and cultural context. His ability to read the pulse of society, to understand the motivations of rulers and generals, and to craft strategies that went beyond mere military might, set him apart as one of history's greatest tacticians. Beyond the wars and the battles, Sun Tzu's ideas on leadership were transformative. He believed that good leadership was about understanding the people you command, inspiring loyalty, and making decisions that benefited the greater good. He often warned against the dangers of overconfidence and arrogance, emphasizing that a leader must remain adaptable, always able to change tactics based on the circumstances. As the years went by, Sun Tzu's fame spread across China, but so did his philosophy of peace. Despite his unparalleled skills in warfare, Sun Tzu often spoke of the futility of unnecessary conflict. His ideal was not a world in constant war, but one where military strength was used only when absolutely necessary and only for the preservation of peace. He recognized that war, while inevitable at times, should be the last resort, the ultimate act of failure, if diplomacy, strategy, and compromise had been exhausted. In his later years, it is believed that Sun Tzu retired from active service. Some say he became a teacher and mentor, passing on his knowledge to future generations of leaders and generals. The legacy he left behind was not just a series of battles and victories, but a profound understanding of human nature, conflict, and the psychology of warfare. His principles were universal, extending beyond the battlefield to influence politics, business, and personal life. Despite the passing of centuries, Sun Tzu's wisdom continues to guide leaders and thinkers worldwide. His influence extends far beyond military strategy. His ideas on leadership, management, and psychology are still relevant today. The art of war has been translated into countless languages, and its timeless wisdom has found its way into boardrooms, sports teams, and even the realms of personal development. Though his life and exact dates remain clouded in mystery, the legacy of Sun Tzu endures, and his name remains synonymous with wisdom, strategy, and peace through strength. He was not just a master of war, but a master of the human mind, an intellect whose influence changed the course of history. This is the story of Sun Tzu, the strategist who mastered the art of war, and in doing so, became one of history's most profound thinkers, a man whose ideas on leadership and conflict continue to shape the world we live in.